I'm Judith Maka from Cameroon. I'm a medical doctor. Thank you for giving me the floor. I thank already the Texila American University to give us this opportunity from my home to present the results of this study. Risk factor of type 2 diabetes among Mbororo population of Guiwa-Yangamo, East Cameroon is a part of a big research project for the amelioration of the accessibility of people in the healthcare. You people know diabetes is a challenge in the world today. Almost 400 million of people suffer from diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is the most common, and recent studies show an abnormal increase of type 2 diabetes and more complication among indigenous compared to non-indigenous population. Particularly in Australia, people have seen almost 35 times more complication among indigenous compared to non-indigenous. So our study aimed to give needed data about this population, Mbororo, which is a small population in Cameroon. But please, can you step in? So this Mbororo population live in a remote area and sometimes are considered as marginalized population. So this population suffer for complex relationship in the population. So during a week in the 2013, 282 adults were recruited, including 261 Mbororo. So you people are seeing more women than men. This is normal for the general population of Cameroon. But first 80% have never been to school. Prevalence and risk factor were have with the software and AP data. But please, Daipo, can I have the next one? What is the problem about Mbororo? Please cite. Okay, now the problem is that this particular and minor ethnic group, because we have about 200 ethnic group in Cameroon, some researchers think that this big number can be the factor of their instability, but till now it's not. So diabetes is a challenge in the 21st century for the development and health for the low-income country, for disadvantaged group, particularly for indigenous. So in Cameroon, a study was seen that 80% of diabetes are unknown, but 1/4 non-diabetes have not have adequate control. So these Mbororo were initially pastoralists coming from near countries. So this group has a problem because they are living as strangers in Cameroon. So this minor group is isolated, and sometimes they don't have accessibility to healthcare. And even when they have the accessibility, this healthcare is not responding for their holistic concept of health. So they are suffering, particularly women, old person, and children suffer for this situation. That is why in 2013, there were no data about the prevalence. So our study comes to give these needed data about this population. What about the result, please? Next slide. So, as I told you before, data for adults for 20 years old and above were entered in a P-data 3.1 and were used with data 11.2 respectively. As a result, as I told you before, among the 261 Mbororo recruited, we have more women than men. This is normal for the general population. But first 80% have never been to school. We see that 81% were women and were obese. It is a same distribution. Overweight, we are seeing more in women for 62.5% than men. So the prevalence of type 2 diabetes were 2.3. This is first the same that was seen among the Tuareg in Mali. Among the impaired fasting glucose, we found that 22% of our participants were at risk because when they have the impaired fasting glucose, if nothing is done in 4 to 5 years, they will develop the diabetes. And when we make a logistic regression to see the risk factor, we saw that many factors like age, advanced age, less physical activity, adding sugar, more sugar in their drinks was seen for particularly for the advanced age. We can see that 12.3 people were at risk of developing diabetes, and adding sugar, it's plus 2 times more at risk to develop diabetes, with a p-value less than 0.015. This additional sugar into drinks already sweetened show the ignorance of the Mbororo about diabetes. So we come to the conclusion that indigenous Mbororo people, that means this small ethnic group, minority, marginalized from East region in Cameroon, know many social difficulties related to the modernization of their environment, war, stress, insecurity, epidemics. The sample use show that they have little knowledge about diabetes. The prevalence of diabetes is 2.3%. That means they know diabetes. And first 22% of these people are at risk of developing diabetes. Women particularly are more at risk. Why? Because they are obese and less active. In our country, sometimes many women stay home, not doing anything because men are out struggling, active to find what to fit the population, the family. What about the future? After this study, we found that prevention strategies should be done to promote health education, screening, monitoring, and control a type 2 diabetes factor in this population. Teaching the population, as you see, 80% of the patients have never been to school. How can we give education to people who have never been to school? So teaching this community will enhance all educational activities, like the promotion of physical activities and the reduction of obesity, particularly among women. Further studies should be done in a larger sample size to describe some specificities, because Mbororo has 2.3% of diabetes when we have 12% Aborigines in Australia. That means we can do some further studies to find what is the difference between these Aborigines and Mbororo and all other indigenous people in the world. And this will help to protect this rich population. You people who can read about Mbororos can learn from this rich population, rich in culture, who has an accountability, who are polite, who has a culture of peaceful. We need to protect this population of bold and read, because they can not end a conversation like this without saying Osoko and politely Osoko. I can say you also from Cameroon. That means thank you. Here you can see the references that people can see. Particularly, I have many information, but we select this 5 because this can give a view for the indigenous suffering about the world. At the end, I say thank you, gracias.